So ESPN has released their FPI win projections for the rest of the Miami Hurricanes football games. And I've been told by many people that I'm going to be very shocked at what they're predicting. And just a quick heads up before we dive into today's video, the Don't Be a Fan Later shirts are back up for sale on the merch store, but only for the month of October or until they sell out. And in case you're wondering, yes, they have sold out before in the past. This is a super limited edition design. It is the most popular, most requested shirt that we've ever sold. So what you're going to want to do is click the top link in the description or click the link in my pinned comment to grab one. Got sizes from small to 5XL. I think there's 12 to 14 different colors, but you are definitely going to want to pick this thing up. Some very unique game day gear, and as I said, only for the month of October. So if you want to grab one, you're gonna do not hesitate. Don't wait to click that link because I cannot promise you how long they're gonna be around. What's going on, Canes fans? I thought this would be a fun little video to do because we can decide if we agree or disagree with these predictions for the rest of the Miami Hurricanes football games. Now, if you don't know what the FPI is, it's a predictive rating system designed to measure team strength and project performance going forward. Now, the interesting thing with this is that over the last 10 seasons, the FPI favorite, so the team that this computer system picks to win, has won 75% of the time. So most of the time, it's actually been correct. So with all of that being said, let's take a look here at the article and just discuss it for a few minutes. And don't be afraid to let me know if you agree or disagree with this thing, and I'll give my opinion as well. So of course, this Saturday, Miami's going to be taking on Georgia Tech. And it has Miami's win percentage chance in this one at 91.7%. So it's very confident in this one. The projection is that Miami will win this game, and understandably so. I mean, Georgia Tech is coming off of a loss to Bowling Green, 38-27. They've demoted their defensive coordinator 5 games into the season. It's kind of looking like Brent Key might just be Jeff Collins 2.0. Georgia Tech doesn't have a whole lot going for them, and I don't think there's any way that you could disagree with this prediction. And just keep in mind, I should have said this earlier, I'm going into this blind. So I don't know what the final prediction is going to be for the rest of the season. We're reacting to this and finding out about it for the first time together. And I don't think there's any way you could disagree with this one. The only argument, and I mean, this is reaching big time, is that, again, you don't want to look past an opponent. You don't want to underestimate a team that, has nothing to lose or their backs are against the wall. But overall, really nothing to worry about. Haynes King is playing okay. There's just no freaking way they can beat Miami. No way. So on to the next one, and this is the one I really want to see. North Carolina, Mack Brown. You guys know how I feel about Mack Brown. What do they have? Ooh, okay. It is predicting a Miami Hurricanes win, but the win probability percentage is 53.5. So I've read that anything kind of in that 50 to 55% means that the FPI views this game as a toss-up. And I believe that it actually has flipped this in the preseason. Before things had kicked off, it actually had North Carolina winning this game. This one is also a toss-up for me. In my full season prediction that I did in August, I actually had North Carolina winning this game. And to be completely honest with you, I'm still split on it. I think that Drake May is a pretty good quarterback. Other than their overtime against App State, which they did still in fact win, they're undefeated right now, they've handled business consistently. And that's something that Miami has also done. But with all of that being said, I don't know right now. When game week gets here next week, I'll give my official prediction. But can Miami finally get over the Mack Brown hump? I don't know. I honestly don't know. it's interesting because on paper, Miami beats North Carolina in almost every stat category. So Miami looks like the better team, but I understand this percentage. I can't argue with this game being a toss-up. It's in Chapel Hill. Time will tell. Next week, we'll find out what Coop thinks. Right now, I'm riding the fence on this one because I just truly do not know. Now, Clemson is one that's, what is it going to think in this one? Clemson is 3-2, a loss to Duke early, which, really, I just don't look into that Duke loss too much. I mean, Clemson had plenty of opportunities. They had turnovers at the worst possible time, in the red zone. And it really just, they handed the game to Duke on a silver platter. But at the end of the day, football is about taking advantage of, those opportunities and the other team's mistakes. And Duke was able to do that. This Clemson team, and guys, I'm not trying to hype them up, but this Clemson Tigers team took Florida State to overtime, and I legit think Florida State is a pretty darn good football team. Definitely a top 5 team in the country. With that being said, the Tigers could have beat them, almost did, and probably should have. So what does this thing think? It has a Miami win in this one at Hard Rock. Coop will be there, so maybe that'll give Miami some extra good vibes and juju. But it still kind of has it as a toss-up because it's at 53.9%, which is completely understandable. Again, I'm just basically saying if I kind of agree or disagree with its decision. I'm not going to give any predictions in this game or in this video. I do agree that this game also could be a toss-up. Clemson has a bye week to prepare for Miami. Miami, of course, already having our bye week this past week. So they'll be rested up and ready to go, an extra week to game plan. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is one, it is, in fact, a toss-up. It absolutely is. This is going to be one of the best chances, I will say, that Miami has had to beat the Tigers in quite a long time. And I think that most of us can probably, at the very least, agree with that. But that means that at this point in the season, the FPI has Miami undefeated at 7-0, taking on Virginia. And I don't even need to look at this one. I've not scrolled down to it yet, but this thing might say Miami's win percentage chance is 99.9%. I'm being serious. Okay, we actually weren't that far off. 95.6%. There's just no way. There's no way. I mean, the Cavaliers got blown out by Tennessee and Maryland. But what is interesting, okay, this Virginia team hasn't won a single game. Your eyes do not deceive you. You don't need to run to the internet and double check. They are 0-5. They have not won a football game this season. This is a bad Virginia team. But I will say that's what's interesting is 3 of their 5 losses were by a combined 7 points. They lost to James Madison 36-35, NC State 24-21, and Boston College 27-24. And that's where we talk about the 2023 season being so weird and just a lot of inconsistent teams, because Boston College only lost to Florida State by 2. Virginia only lost to Boston College by 3. Florida State's a legit top 5 team in the country. Virginia hasn't won a single game. Again, it goes to show that sometimes it doesn't have to make sense. You have those whoopsie games, those uh-oh moments, the ones where you have to escape with a win when it was too close for comfort and it should have never been that way. But at the end of the day, Virginia is 0-5, and this should not even be close. Really, honestly. Miami will absolutely destroy this football team. There's no other reason to discuss it. I 100% agree with this, and I think that percentage could and should be even higher. So Miami 8-0 at this point. Traveling to NC State. Now, NC State is an interesting one. Let's talk about them for a moment before we scroll further, because they announced that they are benching quarterback Brennan Armstrong, the transfer from the team we just talked about, Virginia. And just think, man, he hit the portal and wanted a fresh start somewhere, goes to NC State, and gets benched part of the way through the season for the sophomore MJ Morris, who does have some playtime under his belt last season, and he was fairly accurate when he did play. I think that NC State at this point is just looking for a spark. They need a change. Things aren't really going quite how they planned. They've been okay, just okay, and they want to be much more than that. Their expectations have been set much higher. 3-2 so far this season. It does have Miami winning, and it's actually a pretty high percentage, 78.8%, and that is taking into account the quarterback change and everything that's happened this season. And I have to say that I do agree with that. I originally had the NC State game as a loss in my way too early season prediction. I'm talking way back in, I think, March or April, right after spring practice wrapped up. And I had since changed that in August to a win. I still feel very comfortable with that in enemy territory. NC State is just not where they want to be, and they've got a lot of work to do. This would be one where I would still say you have to be careful. It is a road game, and, we'll see if over the next few weeks if MJ Morris makes a big difference. Maybe he does. But I think overall that's a pretty good game to feel comfortable about. So they have Miami at 9-0 going into the game that is the one pretty much everyone has circled, both Florida State fans and Miami fans. They got they picked an angry Mike Norvell picture. That man looks ready, yo. But this one, what do I say? I mean, it's been quite a while since this game has carried this much hype. FSU survived the game against Boston College, but I more so put that game on Florida State and them just kind of maybe downplaying Boston College more so than Boston College being good, like we kind of talked about earlier. Boston College is just overall not a very good football team. Their only real tests between when I'm making this video and playing us is going to be Duke. I mean, yeah, they play Syracuse and some other teams, but the real test is going to be Duke, and I think that Florida State handles business in that one. I don't think it's a problem for them. The real thing here, or real question here, is imagine Florida State and Miami playing each other and both being undefeated. Imagine the atmosphere. I mean, we're talking about a game here that could potentially affect the ACC championship game. Is this one where whichever team loses is knocked out? Is this one where we see a rematch of Miami versus Florida State in the conference championship game? I don't know. Does it potentially have an effect on the national championship, the college football playoffs? I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there, okay? We're rolling with the FPI thing and saying here that Miami's 9-0 going into this game, which means Florida State's probably undefeated as well. With that being said, what's the percentage here? Ooh, the FPI predicting Miami's first loss in a rivalry matchup against the Seminoles. Miami's win percentage chance at 35. Ouch. Now, I will say this. At this point in time, first week of October, I do agree with the win percentage chance here for Miami being 35%. And I say that because Miami's only real test so far this season at the time of filming is Texas A&M. And Miami responded the way that Miami fans had hoped. When we got down, we had some special teams issues and really kind of handed Texas A&M some points. We didn't give up. We kept fighting, and Miami found a way to win that game by 15 points. And I think Texas A&M is a pretty good football team, no matter what other people want to say. But with that being said, we've seen Florida State weather the storm a few times. They have some pretty good wins. Sometimes, again, you just have to survive. It just is what it is. You have to escape with a victory. And I, again, still also think people are downplaying Clemson this year. I think Clemson is actually a pretty decent football team, and Florida State did take care of them. They've been on the big stage. They've won. They've did what they've needed to do. So right now, they would be the favorite in this game. And again, at the time of filming, let me say it again, at the time of filming, I would agree with Florida State being the favorite and probably winning the game. Just keeping in mind, this could change by the time game week gets here. So let's wrap this thing up with the final 2 games of the season. And at this point, with Miami being 9-1, I think I know what the FPI has in store for us, which is definitely shocking. I understand why people were tagging me and telling me to check this thing out. So taking on Louisville, their quarterback Jack Plummer is playing okay. Last week he had some really boneheaded throws against NC State. Really didn't look very good. They did pick up a lot of transfer portal guys, and they're making some moves. People are talking about Louisville, but I will say that overall Miami looks better than Louisville. Definitely, I would have to say. But at the time of filming, Louisville is undefeated. They've done enough to be undefeated, to have people talking. And Miami will face plenty of competition before this game. So we'll know a little bit better where we stand by the time this game actually gets here. But I would expect, for them to predict Miami to win this one. 72.6%. That seems about right. Louisville's had some close calls. But again, they've did what they've needed to do. This is that one where in my full season prediction that I did in August, I put this one as a Miami loss. And I did that because based off of all the previous time covering the Canes, Miami would seem to find a way to lose a game that they shouldn't lose. And it would typically be a conference game. It would be a scenario where we should be in the driver's seat and we just can't seem to take control of the situation. I don't know how I will feel about this game by the time it actually arrives. We're talking about a late November game here. We're going to find out a lot more about ourselves and this team as this game gets closer. Could there be some potential hangover from the Florida State game? Either, a win and then overlooking Louisville, or a loss and hanging our heads against Louisville. I don't know, but right now I can agree that Miami would look like the better football team. If Miami played Louisville tomorrow, I would lock in a Miami win guaranteed. By the time it gets here, we'll see how we're feeling, but I agree with around the 70% chance of a Miami victory in that game. And wrapping it up with Boston College, a Friday game. You guys know how I feel about weekday games. Trap alert, trap alert. Thanksgiving on Thursday, game after on a Friday. Lots of distractions, but I will say that as long as Miami avoids those distractions and they stay locked in and focused, Miami should handle business easily in this one. Again, I don't care about the close call against Florida State. That was more on Florida State than it was giving credit to Boston College. I'm sorry. That's just facts. That's just me being honest. With that being said, I think they're going to pick Miami to win probably quite a bit. Yeah, 90.5%. Boston College is currently 2-3. Predicting a Miami win against BC. They've already done their red bandana game against Florida State. People are going to argue, they're going to argue weather and a bunch of different factors, but Miami across the board on paper and when you watch the film is just a better football team than Boston College. But that means that the ESPN FPI has Miami's record at 11-1. One loss in the 2023 season, and that only loss being to what is probably a top 5 team in the country, Florida State, and that is a conference opponent. But keep in mind that depending on how this season plays out, Clemson has already lost 2 ACC games to Duke and Florida State. How is Duke going to perform? How is Louisville going to perform the rest of the season? How is North Carolina going to play out? Miami really does. Guys, listen to this. I'm not predicting it. Miami does have a chance to make a run for an ACC championship game appearance. They really do. A lot of things have to, go our way, but the fact that Clemson already has 2 ACC losses, and that's been a team that has represented the ACC for quite a long time, the possibility is there. I've said many times that, my 7-5 or 8-4 season prediction, I'm not feeling quite as comfortable with that as I was a few weeks ago. I can be honest and admit it. We made that prediction in August. I'm not going to change it, but week to week, my predictions might change. I said that I had Louisville game as a loss back in August. I might change that when game week gets here. I don't know. I just know that I'm excited, and this also kind of shows people are talking about Miami. There is, man, what if everything just happens to line up this season? Do we make some kind of run? I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to get way ahead of myself. The Kool-Aid packet is over in another room. I'm not grabbing it. I'm not getting it. Listen, though, we've been hurt for a long time, Like I said, Coop has to rewire his brain, because I expect losing a game that we shouldn't lose. I expect the wheels to fall off after we lose that game and we go on a skid and we lose 2 or 3 in a row. This team doesn't look like the type of team that would react like that or have something like that happen. But time will tell, and I'm just going to be honest, I have to see it. I have to see it. It doesn't mean I don't believe, doesn't mean I'm not a fan. It just means, again, my approach, cautiously optimistic, hoping to be pleasantly surprised. So far I have been. 11-1 is possible. Would I bet my house on it on October 4th before the ACC games have been played? Absolutely not. Would not. I would be somewhere more around, like I've said, confident 8, could push 9, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll take it 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'm very curious to see if you agree or disagree with this and what you guys think. Remember, though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I got to say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.